and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, it's time to recite our vision and mission. The Tri-Creek School Corporation of students, staff, and community endeavors to be
a recognized leader in high achievement,
and exceptional growth,
innovative and equitable approaches that build upon
strong community pride,
and provide all students with well-rounded educational experiences to prepare for future successes.
engaged to learn,
equipped to achieve.
empowered to succeed.
all right, thank you. Welcome, everybody. All right. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda? All righty. Public comment for related agenda items. I don't have any. This is for general, right? Superintendent's report?
Yeah, so we've invited Principal Patrick and Denise Hauser to report out on the school counseling program at Lowell High School. So ladies, it's all yours.
Well, thank you for having us.
We're working out the logistics with the LMS staff and having all of the 8th graders come over. Everyone has to sign up for a principal's class as a freshman. The principal's class is one of our, it's the introduction. So the state changed the introduction word to principals. So think of principles of engineering or principles of digital design. Used to be like introduction to that same thing. So all of our students are required to sign up for a principal's class, but I think having them see what the class is all about versus just reading a course description is super important in order to have them make an informed decision. So that'll be the daytime, and then the evening will be the part where the families get to come, bring their parents back, show them what they're really excited about, have them meet the faculty, learn about some of our organizations that we have at the high school. They have an opportunity to meet with some of our peer mentors and get a tour of the building. So that will be like a whole day of fun all about Lowell High School and helping them transition into high school. The other thing that I think sets us apart in regards to regional schools is that we do one-to-one scheduling. So we meet with every single student individually. We talk to them about their course requests. We talk to them about what their plans are, life after high school. You know, they're 13 or 14 as 8th graders, and so just kind of starting the ideas of what is a career, what does it look like to become that, and then sort of work backwards, or like what do you want to do when you grow up, and then work backwards to what it takes to become that. We're starting four-year plans. One of the things that I'm working on behind the scenes this year is putting it into Skyward so that families can access it. There's a career plan feature within Skyward that isn't being utilized, and something that we can open up so that families can see it, students can access it. A four-year plan is basically a rough draft or a map of what their 4 years of high school can look like. So it would have their CTE courses that would be planned out. Nothing in scheduling is a guarantee, so it's why it's just a rough draft. And if they decide to change their mind or change their pathway, it's something that's flexible and can be changed with just a few clicks. The other program that we use is a program called Standards for Success. That's something that the counselors use to track all of the different graduation requirements. So this is our first class that graduates under the pathways, under the 3 boxes. It's a lot to track, it's a lot of data. And so our school corporation has this wonderful platform that we use. It's super easy, like user-friendly. But then it also creates some nice PDFs to give to the students that show where they're at, what progress they're doing. And then box 3, speaking in counselor language, do we all know what box 3 is? Okay, some of us might. So there's 3 boxes. Box 1 is just earning a diploma, passing your classes, getting the requirements met. Box 2 is employability skills. It's something that our high school has built into our English class. So most of our students earn their box 2 or complete it during their freshman year. Box 3 has many different ways to achieve it. One of them is the CTE pathways, which is something that we're tracking. One is an SAT benchmark score, one is an ASVAB score. So once a student achieves that, then we can check that box off as complete. So we're able to track that in Standards for Success, give them a cool PDF. It tracks their graduation requirements. It has some nice colors to it, so when we meet with our students individually, we can show them that, and it breaks it down pretty simple for something that's sort of complex. But again, I think one of our highlights for our office and our department is meeting one-on-one with our students. That's where those super important conversations start and continue over 4 years of what they want to do, some of the things that they're interested in, the courses that will help get them there and introduce that to them as a high school student. So the way the state is moving towards these career pathways, it's helping them, get an earlier start at introduction to some of these career opportunities. Our school has, I think, about 13 pathways, might be 14 if I miscounted, but they have a lot of opportunities to get some hands-on technical skills while they're in the high school. And while we're having these conversations, we're able to learn more about the kids, learn, build the rapport so that they can come to us during the 4 years and have further conversations. So every year we meet with them at least once for course requests, but it's a lot more than once.
I think one of the things we, yesterday there was an NCC principals and department chair meeting, and one of the things that was really eye-opening is that because we're not a part of a career center, we just have all of these options for kids. We have so many more, we're not using waivers to get kids to graduate. The number of waivers that are being used at other schools in the area, I was shocked by, but it's because they don't have the flexibility we have because we offer CTE classes with the trades, with business, with criminal justice. There's so many opportunities that we're in such a good place, not only to prepare kids and get them into a career field that they're interested in, but also to ensure that they graduate. So.
One of the things that we're doing this year that the state has come out with is a program called Indiana Career Explorer. It's a free career exploring software program that allows for students to take an interest inventory. So it's a series of questions it's not even questions, it's statements. So like, I like to build cabinets, like, dislike, neutral. And so they're just supposed to read the statement and respond to the statement. After that, then they would get their interests, and they'd be able to sort of look at what kind of career that would pair them up with that. Our advisory lessons are also geared towards career exploration. We have resume writing skills, we do some practice interviews. They focus a lot over the last 4 years of high school on what life could be like for them. We offer the ASVAB. So ASVAB is one of those box 3 checkers. If a student meets a 31 on the ASVAB, then that can check their box. The ASVAB is an assessment that the military uses for recruitment. but that's not our purpose. We use it for box 3. However, students then, after they take it, their junior or senior year, they're able to do, through the post-test interpretation, they're able to create an account through the ASVAB program. In the ASVAB program, they also have an interest inventory that the students can use, and then it pairs them up with not only military careers, but just civilian careers as well. It takes their scores, excuse me, which is their skills, right, and pairs them up with a career that would match their skills, but then when they do the interest inventory, it pairs it even further to skills and interests. We welcomed I call them the gurus of financial aid twice this year already. We had them on our back to school night presenting about financial aid and how to make college affordable. But then we also had them come back just before the FAFSA opened on October 1st to walk everybody through the FAFSA, because that can be super intimidating if you've never done it before. The IRS likes to continuously change how the process is done and add extra questions. But then we have unique situations where if like a family is separated or just any type of a unique financial situation, these are the people that we refer our students to because that's their specialty. We've had some, excuse me, we've had some pretty great CTE opportunities and field trips now that COVID protocols are kind of, a thing of the past. We're able to actually get out of the building a little bit more, which is fantastic. People are opening their doors to students again, and so we've had some really cool opportunities within the last year. I've only been at Lowell for 4 years, but my first year pre-pandemic, we were able to do some of these things, and then the world shut down, and so everything was virtual, which doesn't just have the right feel. So now their kids are getting out there, and we're able to see and get their hands on things and experience some pretty cool opportunities based on their interests. We've also been able to open our doors and offer guest speakers to come back in, which is super exciting. We've had these are some of the guest speakers that we've had. The 2 guys up there came to our entrepreneurship class and spoke, and then, he's from one of the unions, I believe, but he just came and spoke to our trades classes. But our teachers are connecting with their network and are able to bring in some of their people from their workplace experience as well prior to coming into education, some of our CTE classes. And so I think that's important for us to continue to introduce the students to some of that that's out there. I know the criminal justice class, Mr. Bogeke's had several guest speakers, our education professions. I've gone in and spoke. I think some of you guys on the board have come in and spoke too to our students, which I think is really cool because it gives them an idea of you don't have to just be a teacher to be in education. Every Thursday we have the Marines come in, and then I think it's every Tuesday that the Army's in. So every week we have at least 2 representations of the military branches in our lunch hour. The Marines will come in and bring a pull-up bar and challenge our students during the lunch hour to a pull-up contest, which is pretty fun. They give them some swag. It's a pretty cool thing, and every week it's not new, but they still get really excited about it and engage and have conversations and learn more about their opportunities in the military. We have our college counselors back too, which is excellent. I think COVID put a damper on all of that with all of the virtual, but now that we have the doors open and the people can come in, they're coming, and that's wonderful to continue to introduce to our kids. We had 2 instant decision days just recently. One was on Tuesday. We had P&W come in, Purdue Northwest, and they waived their application fees for our students, and they're able to meet with a college rep right then and there. They go over their transcript and they tell them a yay or a nay. Happy to share that all of them were yays this week, which is excellent. We had IUN come in a couple of weeks ago. Again, meet with the college rep, go over scholarship opportunities for that college. They literally have nothing to lose. College applications can be like $40 if they don't qualify for a fee waiver. So having that instant decision day shows them that they really do have this opportunity in front of them. They just have to seize the moment and take away some of that anxiety. We do junior meetings, so we do our individual scheduling course request collection. We start talking about what senior year will be like for them. There's a misconception that senior year is supposed to be easy. there's a lot of stress with senior year because you're planning for life after high school while you're living high school. And so it's a lot. Yeah. So we started talking to them about that, introducing them to that fact. But then we also do a large group meeting with our junior class at the end of the school year and show them, you know, what the summer can be used for. We give them a timeline of how they can use their summer hours, but then also a month-to-month breakdown of things that they can be working on when they come back as a senior. So our senior meetings, they're one of my favorite things because you've seen this kid grow up over the last 4 years, and now it's time to like really let them fly. And so we talk to them about their diploma type, what their graduation requirements, like what's left for them they really have to pass in order to make it out the door. But then we go over like their box 2 and their box 3, where they stand with that and how to wrap that up before June. But then that's also where we start asking them about where are they applying? What kinds of letters of recommendation do they need? Do they need a reference letter if they're going into the trades? We show them some of the cool websites like We Build Northwest Indiana, I think it's .org, it's a bookmark, that shows all of the trades in the local areas. It shows all of their, can't think of where they turn their applications in. Husband's union, it's really embarrassing. But where they go and turn their, where they go and
Your
turn their
ex-husband.
applications in. But it tells them the testing window. Thank you, I'm so sorry. Nerves will get the best of my throat.
I better understand.
Thank you, that was thoughtful. So we talk to them about that, we introduce them to those different things, we encourage them to get out there early because it's important if it's something that they want to have happen. Because there isn't a school counselor in June that's going to hand them a schedule and say, you need to be there at this time. You really have to be planning this.
I think one of the things too with this is that this gives counselors and students the opportunity to, if we have a student who's interested in cosmetology, but we don't necessarily offer that,
Yeah.
they can point them in the right direction. They can connect them with the local cosmetology schools. So that happens throughout all of these, I would say. And
Yes.
if kids don't have a plan, that's where they're trying to talk to them about, okay, well, you were in manufacturing. Like, let's talk about that. Like,
Did you like it, did you not like it?
Right.
What did you like about it? How can we, pair you with the right thing? Or how can we make some phone calls with you? So like I helped to do some cold calling, trying to get some job shadowing at the local hospital. I'm originally from Illinois, and so I had some pretty good network there and knew like some questions to ask, and we're trying to set that up so that some students can go see what it's like to work in an ultrasound area or observe in an ER. But these conversations last all year long. So they start with our one-on-ones in the fall, but they're continuous because we want to make sure that they are prepared for when June hits and they're not just sitting at home.
We also start our year off by having every senior student write a narrative essay, which is actually the Common App essay for those that want to go to college and need to apply. It's a personal statement that they submit if using the Common App. So by requiring all students to do that, it's not only a really good time for them to reflect, but it then puts them a step ahead because that piece of the Common App is already ready.
The Common App can be a beast. It's a really lengthy application. Once you're done with it, you can use it for many, many colleges. The majority of the colleges now are with Common App, but it's very lengthy and it can be very overwhelming for students. And if I hear my friend Angela's doing it, then I feel like I need to do it, and so I need to get started on it right now, and the pressure of that can take over, and so we work pretty closely with the students. The other cool thing about a personal narrative and having it built into the English class is that you get the feedback. Ooh, that's bedtime, sorry, I forgot to shut that alarm off.
Is that your bedtime or?
I'm jealous of
Right?
it.
Like, who
sounds
gets
good.
to go to bed at 7:20?
No, that's the morning, 5 more minutes. One more
You better
Bluey.
hurry up, right?
One more Bluey and then we gotta go. Okay, so they can use this narrative to not only for the Common App, but they can get the feedback on it if they're not gonna use the Common App, and they can turn it into maybe a cover letter for a resume or something like that. So it's got dual purpose and something that is long lasting. They can also use it for scholarships because scholarship season happens in the spring semester, and they're gonna be able to just kind of tweak it to make it just right for that scholarship, and it'll be a lot easier than having to rewrite it.
One of the things that we're really proud of is the partnership with the IKORCC, which is the Carpenters Union that is out of Maryville. Well, it's all over, but the main building that we work with is out of Maryville. Any student that completes our welding, precision machining, or construction trades program can have a recommendation from the teacher. The teacher, it's a letter that they write, which basically allows that student to bypass the line at the union, and it's a direct admit into the program. So I think when we went to visit, they said they get how many applications a day? I mean, stacks. So
Yeah.
this gives our students a leg up because they're directly admitted into the program if they've completed it successfully here, and the teacher writes that letter for them. So,
That can be such a huge step up for our kids.
yes, so.
So when it comes to the school counseling department, this is only my second year as director, my fourth year at Lowell High School. I have a team of 4 counselors. 3 of them, this is their second year, and 1, this is their first year with Lowell. So we've had quite a transition in the office, and so we're still working together and making it ours, our programming. The state just recently came out with a new school counseling comprehensive program that we are going to be applying for the Gold Star Award. It's a 2-year process, and so some of these goals they may sound kind of small, but they're big in regards to logistics and the impact that I think that they can have long term. So one of the things I want to do is have a fall semester post-secondary seminar series versus having one large group meeting, which we do with our seniors, and kind of spill all the things that are happening in senior year. That's a lot to digest. It's long and it's kind of dry material, and they don't view it always as important until they need that information again. So I think if we broke it down into a series of little shorter meetings, and then invite not just seniors but all students, I think that would have a long-term impact, and start using some of the language that counselors use about life after high school, that the world uses. I think that could be something that will help us. I want to have a FAFSA completion event. So while we have the 2 events right now where we're introducing financial aid, I think having a completion event and having the gurus here to help families through it might also help in our FAFSA completion, which is something that the state is looking at for our graduates prepared to succeed. The other one is some regular well-being lessons, just something to help them with their emotional management. It's been hard the last 2 years with them being isolated. We're seeing all kinds of increase in anxiety and depressive symptoms with our students and struggling with that. And so something just giving them some education about how to cope would be helpful. It's never hurtful in my opinion. These are my short-term, long-term-ish goals.
Any questions?
Sounds like you got a good team put together. I mean,
Thanks.
we struggled with that for a while with the college, so.
Yeah.
Sounds like you got a cohesive team going, so I think
Thank
that's really good.
Denise has done a fantastic job as the leader in the department. It's night and day from where it was when I first started, which would have been 5 years ago when I was in the guidance office as an assistant principal. It's night and day, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent,
Thank
yeah.
you,
Yeah.
guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Is that everything you got?
And that is the superintendent's report.
Great job.
Alrighty, where is it? Staff recognition?
Yeah, you can see I had already shifted gears.
Oh.
Obviously, my fault. Since we last met, I've had the privilege to be in all 5 buildings, ambushing staff and showing our appreciation. The first one was Eric Tarnowski from Lowell Middle School. He's a social studies teacher, student council advisor, and we had a student who did a shout out to Eric. She said, Mr. Tarnowski works to provide fun activities for all of us student council members. He provides us with great opportunities for community service. He works over and above school hours to provide students with opportunities that we will never forget. He is a teacher, and if we need anything, he helps us with open arms. The next one is from our cafeteria manager at Lake Prairie. Her name is Heather Baker, and one of her workers had to say about Heather: Heather helps teach us new things and makes a pleasant atmosphere. So while that was just one statement, it made Heather's eyes water when we ambushed. So it's awesome. It made a difference. From Oak Hill Elementary School, second grade teacher Amy Patterson. And she had a colleague who said, Mrs. Patterson has been a Tri-Creek employee for 18 years. In her time teaching first and second grades, Mrs. Patterson has been quick to adapt to new requirements and new ideas in the profession. She has mentored many teachers, hosted student teachers, led the Girls on the Run program, and is living proof that teaching is not a 180-day-a-year job. She keeps excellent data on student progress and has taught many others how to do the same. She has taught many students who needed a lot of individualized and extra attention. This year, she has been learning a lot in her new role as a team leader for second and third grade teachers at Oak Hill Elementary and is very excited to master her new position. So that was Amy Patterson. At the high school, main office secretary Diane Schoon. She received a shout out from a colleague. Diane is incredibly helpful. As a teacher, if I ever needed anything or had a question that I needed answered, I have always been able to ask Diane. If one of my children gets sick, she has always been available to text at all times to make sure that my classes get covered. Then she checks in with you to make sure that everything is okay because she is also incredibly caring. Additionally, she is the face of the school as one of the first people who the community members see when they visit the school. She is equally as positive and supported within the community and with community members and students as she is with staff. She is truly one of the most unsung heroes of this school. I could not imagine what this school would be like without Diane. She makes every day better. Diane Schoon. Two more. From Three Creeks Elementary School, the Title I teacher, Kristen Hughes. A colleague said about Kristen, Kristen has a tremendously positive impact on students in every grade level at Three Creeks. Kristen plans purposeful, intentional reading and math intervention lessons for each grade level, and the effectiveness of her instruction shows up in the classroom. This is a daunting task, but Kristen performs her job with a big, warm smile and genuine willingness to support all learners. She also balances the responsibilities of being a team leader for the multi-tiered systems of support. Kristen Hughes. And we finish up with the principal of Oak Hill Elementary School, Brandy Muha. One of Brandy's teachers said, Mrs. Muha has done nothing but improve the culture and climate of our building since she took the role as principal. Staff in all capacities are empowered to do their very best each day. She is responsive to our wonders or concerned with curriculum, instruction, and student supports. She is always available to brainstorm solutions and encourages us to try something new. Again, she empowers each to reach our true potential. And that's the staff recognition.
Excellent. Those are awesome. I keep hearing those every.
They are fun to do.
Awesome. Love it. Alrighty. Board member report?
Our board meeting for the co-op is next week because the calendar all worked out. So if anything, I'm going to be attending. If anything happens, I'll let you know. But for the new board members, one of us has to go or should go to a board meeting. It's held once a month at the co-op in Crown Point. It's part of the special ed co-op. And it's a really fun assignment. At least I thought it was the last couple of years. So what do you guys decide to do that? I mean, it's a really good day. There's some stuff going on right now, that's pretty important. Maryville is dropping out of the co-op, just to let you know that, so that's kind of what's going on. This letter talks about this kind of thing, so it's really important that somebody gets in there and does what they're supposed to do. So I would recommend it. It's really, I mean, the board members, there's a board member from every other district in our in the co-op. It's fun to talk to those other board members and see what their experiences are and things like that. So it's kind of like going to an all-star team kind of thing. So it's kind of fun, really.
They're very encouraged by people that wear blue shirts.
I get the Dr. Winkoff's looking forward to talking.
We'll talk it out. I mean, I have no problem doing it, but if someone else is interested, I'm not gonna take it away, take it with them.
You know Dr. Winkoff already, I've heard, so.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks, Doug.
Anybody else? Alrighty. Number 1, approve the minutes of the meeting held on Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Number 2, approve the payroll and claims.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Personnel, number 1, approve the personnel report dated Thursday, December 8th, 2022.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I'd like to recognize Mark Sampson. He's leaving us. He's retired, I figured that. But since he came on board, he really improved our outside look of all the buildings, so I'd like to compliment him on that.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Number 2, approve the performance stipends for counselors, media specialists, deans, social workers, student support advisors, as per the criteria of the teacher appreciation grant.
Board members, we distributed the teacher appreciation grant, which is funded by the state, on December 2nd, our payroll for all our teachers. That includes anyone who spends 50% or more of their time instructing students. This excludes many of our members that are part of the bargaining unit, because they don't spend their time in front of students like that, our school counselors, our media specialists, deans, and such. So we are recommending the same stipend for those folks based on their evaluation score of either an effective or a highly effective score, to be paid on our next payroll, which is December 20th.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Cybersecurity.
Is this because of Crown Point? What happened to Crown Point?
I'm gonna give the mic to Jay Blackman.
I didn't want to call them out by name, but given some recent high-profile breaches by some of our neighbors, not just from Crown Point, I figured it'd be a good opportunity to educate the board a little bit on some of the cybersecurity initiatives we already have in place here in Tri-Creek, some of the things we've been doing over the past few years, also some things that will be coming up here in the near future. Definitely have learned quite a bit from what we've seen happen in the 2 most recent breaches in the area, and we'll share a little bit about that. Dana and I have been working quite a bit on this area. So really quickly, just an overview. We do have 2 staff members on my team who are solely working on cybersecurity measures. That means taking care of all of our infrastructure, ensuring that all of our systems are locked down so bad guys can't get in. They're constantly watching any traffic that's coming throughout our network to make sure that if there is any inkling of something that's going wrong, they're jumping right on it. So we have a full-time network administrator, and we have a part-time system administrator who has some other duties throughout the district. but both of those guys are constantly working with people to help make sure that we're safe. One of the things that when I came on board, we noticed that we had a lot of equipment on site. So for example, even though every student has a device, every teacher has a device, we have a lot of computers, a lot of things. The infrastructure pieces that run a lot of that, we are very lean compared to a lot of other school districts. And why that's important is that you'll often hear in some of these cases that schools have so many servers, they have so many switches, all of the equipment that goes to running your network, that the more things that you have, the more you have to maintain, the more you have to keep an eye on, and the more opportunities for the bad guys to try to get in. We run very lean. That doesn't mean that we have fewer services or fewer things available. We've just been very selective on the types of things that we do have. Talking to some other local districts, they might have 30 or 40 servers. We only have about 5 or 6 here in district. Part of what has gone to that is that we made a decision many years ago to move a lot of the services that we have in district off-site to the cloud, or adopting systems like Skyward, where it is completely web-based. There's a lot of schools that have those systems inside. They're storing their sensitive student information on site. And those are things that they have to be protected and be mindful of. We don't worry about that quite as much, even though it's very important to us. I've opted to take a lot of those services off-site so that we can have experts in security and safety take care of those things so that my staff can be taking care of people. Speaking of people, we do conduct a lot of training. We do have regular phishing tests. I know a lot of our folks in the audience have been a part of those. We do have, through a grant through the state, they provide a system called KnowBefore, which allows us to send out mock emails to all of our staff to basically trick them into clicking on it to see how they would react in a situation. The most recent one that we did, we actually had come from our HR department. It had our HR director's name on it. It asked them to check their W-2 information. It was sent to all of our staff district-wide. Vast majority of our staff didn't click on it. We did have a few people that did. They were greeted with a message that said, this wasn't real, but if it had been, you might have been phished. Here's what you need to do and think about next time. We even had some staff members from NISAC who don't even get W-2 from us click on it. So that was very nice to be able to explain to folks, hey, pay very close attention to what you're seeing, what you're getting. Does it look real? Does the person that's sending it, does it sound like something they would send? But always double check on those types of things. We do that through some training modules that come as well. So all of those folks that do fall for those phishing scams have a mandatory training that comes with it. That kind of gets them out of jail. We also had earlier this year the opportunity through the state to participate in a tabletop exercise where they simulated a ransomware attack. So most schools don't get the opportunity, and thankfully never have to go through a ransomware attack. So it's hard to be able to say what you would do in those situations. We were able to kind of do a choose your own adventure with this activity. They said, here's the scenario, here's what happens. You come in on a day, all of a sudden you notice some things are wrong, what do you do? And then they go through, based off of what you choose, they tell you the next step of the situation, and you make decisions as you go down the line as far as who you need to reach out to, how you conduct that whole exercise. It was very eye-opening to myself and my team and Dana to be able to go through that. We do also have cybersecurity insurance. We've had that since 2016, which surprisingly was ahead of a lot of other districts. We heard a lot of folks that just at the time it wasn't popular. It was kind of like a novelty add-on. It was nice to have. It was reasonably priced. Obviously, the world we live in today, that has changed things quite a bit with a lot, especially locally. We are currently awaiting our renewal pricing. Dana and I have been working on that. We do expect that it's going to go up a little bit compared to what we've seen in the past. And that's just the nature of where we are as a society with cybersecurity. The good news is that the industry those demands are driving adoption of a lot more stringent policies. So where before I might have had to really work with our team to say, hey, it's really important to take this seriously and to think about this training. It's not that it isn't more or less important than anything else. Now, our insurance providers are coming to us and saying, you must have some of these things in place. or we cannot insure you. So it definitely helps when we go to have those conversations with staff and say, we need you to really take this seriously, it's very, very important.
Each year at renewal, when we've had a good year, we've had some savings, we've taken at least 50% of that savings and rolled it into our cybersecurity policy in order to increase the coverage, just knowing that this is becoming the trend in the industry. So we've consciously, since 2016, increased that every year to reduce our risk.
Just a couple of technical things. These are some high-level pieces. All of our computers in the district, we limit the user access to those, meaning that we don't necessarily give everyone administrative access to do things like install their own software. It's something we did in the past. It's just not something we're able to do anymore, unfortunately. So we found ways that are creative around that. But we try to limit those risks. We do have a district firewall with some advanced threat detection that typically if there's any type of an attack or something that's coming our way, we know about it before it becomes a real problem. And usually we're able to mitigate that before we even see any effects here out in the building level. My folks are on top of it, they've seen it, they've already moved us away from that threat. One of the things that you'll hear about, I think especially at Duneland when we looked at their breach, what they could share about it, one of the vectors that they think was used to attack the district was basically an account that was with an outside vendor, might have been for HVAC or something like that, that was compromised. And that is how the bad guys got in. They believe that's one of the ways that they did it. We have all of our outside access to non-privileged users, which would be those types of folks, are completely shut down. If you want to get access into our network, you have to come on site. We do not allow for that. So that just keeps them honest, but keeps us safe as well. One other really interesting thing is that we do actually not allow any traffic from anywhere outside of the US. So you typically hear about a lot of these cyber attacks coming from Russia, China. We do not allow any traffic into our district from anywhere outside of the US. Occasionally we'll get a request from a teacher for educational purposes. There might be something. It doesn't mean that we block sites about the Russian language or cultural things of that sort. It's that we look very specifically where that material is coming from, and we try to vet that to make sure that it's safe before we unintentionally let someone get into our network. One last kind of technical piece is that we do have two-factor authentication for all of our staff that access sensitive and financial data. So if you're familiar with, a lot of folks know through their banking now that you used to be able to just put in your username and password. Well, now if it prompts you to say, hey, we're going to send a code to your phone to make sure that it's you, we have that feature turned on for all of our staff, whether they are looking at any type of financial data or if they are high priority targets. So like Mrs. Patrick would be one that would be a very high profile target for her staff to be able to say, if someone were trying to impersonate her, to send an email to her staff to say, hey, I need you to give me access to this student information because I'm away from my computer right now. Or if Superintendent Anderson says, hey, I need you to go buy me some gift cards because I have an important board meeting and you don't want to anger the board, do you? Run down and go pick that up for me.
He's been known to do that too.
Yes.
Very important, right? So we have those protections in place to try to mitigate those types of things so that we at least protect ourselves from those. Those are the types of things that insurance providers are mandating across the board. You must have those. We also rotate all of our passwords for financial systems at least every 60 days, and those are very strong passwords. We also require all of our new staff members that are coming on setting up very strong passwords. We're trying to educate them about that right out of the gate. So that's what we're currently doing. We recently had a third-party cybersecurity analysis done by Purdue CyberTap. This was part of a grant that was funded throughout the state. The Indiana Office of Technology, along with IDOE, is providing a lot of funding to schools. This is a no cost to the district. We are one of several districts in the area that had this done. The investigator from Purdue is actually from Crown Point. So it was very nice to have him come up here for 2 days. He walked the buildings. He asked a lot of questions. He actually did penetration testing into our network, the same ways that the bad guys would do it, utilizing a tool that was developed by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. It's called CSAT. That tool is the same tool that the government is using to try and get into their systems. So we have some fantastic tools. They actually gave us the access to those tools as part of this grant, and so we are now utilizing those and running those regularly to make sure that our systems are safe in that same way. This specifically focuses on some industry best practices, as well as some policy pieces that we have in place, and the technical pieces of it as well. So just some quick findings. One of the things that they noted was a strong cybersecurity foundation because of a strong, diverse set of skills among our IT team members. That really speaks to the 2 staff members that I spoke about earlier. They're dedicated, they have great relationships with staff, and they said that's one of the key pieces of this. You can have all the technical pieces in the world and throw all the money in the world at this type of solution, but until you build trust with staff, that is going to be the huge driver of whether or not you're successful with your cybersecurity initiatives. So he took time to point that out, which I really appreciated hearing that. As far as the technical things, they really did not find anything externally. He tried to get into our network, was unsuccessful. Internally, he found a few small things. I'm not going to go into specifics because of the YouTube aspect of it. We don't want to give the bad guys the ideas there. But they were things that were very easily fixed, and there were some things that we actually knew about. Some of the recommendations that they found with this, they wanted us to look into automating some of our monitoring and logging. So what that means is that a lot of the processes that are happening right now, as far as looking at when there are issues with our network, or if we think a bad guy's trying to get in, is being done manually by my staff. You can invest in tools that will do this for you. They monitor 24/7. They will alert you if there are issues, and they will often jump in and fix those issues before my team even has to act on it. That is something that Dana and I, in looking at cybersecurity renewals, the Dunlin breach, as well as I'm sure you're going to be hearing about it from Crown Point, they've said that those tools, if they didn't have them, would have probably they probably wouldn't have had the issues that they did, and it was actually being mandated for them to get cybersecurity insurance going forward. So we're being proactive in bringing those in. Also, the analysis tools for regular vulnerability scanning. It's the tool from the Department of Homeland Security, which we are doing. Physical security, they talked a little bit about all of our networking closets, the places where all of my equipment are at the high school and middle school are locked down behind doors that only a few people can get into. They're kind of out of the way. It's very difficult to get into those. At the elementaries, we do have those in some shared spaces, book rooms and places where when the buildings were built, it was a time before you had to have all this networking equipment all over the place. So there's really only 1 or 2 places you could put it. Not to say that that's a major concern. Our buildings do a great job in ensuring that if anybody's coming into the building, that they have an ID badge, they're being escorted throughout the buildings. We don't just let anybody walk around, but it was something that he did note. And the last thing was just about some policy and procedure templates. They noted that we had a great disaster recovery program written up, but there was a lot more that we could do according to some of those industry standards. They do have some templates that are provided free of charge through this grant, and so we're going to be utilizing some of those to actually build some procedures and some guidance that I'll be working with Superintendent Anderson to make sure are part of our administrative guidelines moving forward. So, next steps. I'm going to be working to increase staff awareness of cybersecurity responsibilities through that training that I mentioned, as well as their personal security wellness. We have a lot of tools available to us that are things that are not only important for your school life, but would be helpful in your regular life as well. Thinking about how you think about your passwords, type of security you use on things like your bank accounts, making sure that those same wellness pieces that you're doing for school, that you're thinking about in your home life as well. Number 2, replacing some outdated equipment where feasible. As I mentioned, there were some things that we did note, just a little bit older equipment that we're thinking about how to get those updated. Investing in additional technologies to automate those monitoring processes to meet the insurance requirements and some of those analysis findings, and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And finally, that governance documentation and working to make it a part of all of our district risk mitigation strategies. So whenever I'm working with Stacy to think about some of our risks for safety across the district, cybersecurity needs to be a part of that because it's just as important as any other security piece that we're looking at. So with that, for those of you that are still awake, any questions, any concerns, anything else I can elaborate on? Okay.
Looks like you're doing a great job.
Did he email you the results?
He did.
Oh,
I
so
do
he
have.
actually used our system to send you the results? So
Absolutely.
Okay.
So yeah, so we have all the logs of everything they did. They ran. My team looked through that. They got into, I mean, things that are way over my head. They got in and looked at it, and they were very happy with the results they saw. There's also an executive briefing that I can share with anyone that's interested and wants to see the specifics in it, but it's a little dry.
Out of curiosity, it's not going to happen here, but if something were to shut down our network,
Sure.
who do you even call?
So, well, yeah. So actually, the law in Indiana is now the very first phone call that you must make is actually to a hotline, which engages you with your local FBI office. So in what we learned from the Duneland breach, just as far as their timeline, they found out, I think, at about 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, one of their engineers just couldn't sleep. He had a hunch. He got up. By about, I think, 7 or 8 a.m., they kind of knew something was up. By that afternoon, once they had reached out and had also engaged with their insurance folks, there was a team assembling from across the nation, jumping on planes, and they were there the next morning.
Yeah, it was very Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, so that is now that's the very first thing we must do. We have to do that, and that also starts the clock on things like notifying anyone that has been affected by the breach. So if we had a situation where we suspected that financial data was taken or anything that might impact social security numbers for staff, that starts the clock on them thinking about, okay, how are you going to reach out to those people? How are you going to let them know that they're at risk? Because now their clock is ticking as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think we all realize how much was going on behind the scenes,
No.
all this. We kind of take it for granted.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the goal. Is we want it to be invisible. We want everyone to feel safe. That's, I think, the best kind of security is the one that you don't see, but you know you trust. So thank you for the opportunity to have a great team and to be able to work through that. We really appreciate it.
Sounds like we're in good hands.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Approve the resolution 2022-22 for rainy day fund. You may read through all these and you're gonna explain them?
Sure.
Approve the resolution 2022-23 to close the 22 year end. Approve the resolution 2022-24 additional appropriations resolution. Oh. Approve the resolution 2025 authorizing Tri-Creek School Corporation participation in the federally funded program during the 22-23 school year and authorizing the superintendent to sign necessary documents regarding these programs.
Okay.
I was reading the other one. I didn't know if it tied into there or not.
Well, I will jump in. Let's go over rainy day here. We've got 2 resolutions regarding rainy day on here, 22 and 24. The first one is typically we establish a rainy day fund and its purpose. We did that back in 2009. It was specific to anything that was tax related or anything that would typically be refunded from tax funds, excluding salaries and benefits. On this resolution that I'm asking you to approve tonight, it's amending our original. It's keeping the same language that we had before, but it is adding one exception on here. Except that said rainy day fund shall in no event be used for payment of employee salaries or benefits, with the one-time exception to transfer to cover expenses from the virtual academy incurred during the 2020-2021 school year. So this is taking us back to pandemic time. We funded 14 positions, which was our virtual academy. We kept schools open, we kept choice for students who were based on their comfort level for school. And the board said, and if I can quote Doug at that time, if ever there was a rainy day, this is a rainy day for sure, he said at that time. So as a board, we approved this virtual academy with the understanding that we would take it out of rainy day. Fast forward a little bit, some FEMA funding came out there. And we had the opportunity to submit these claims to FEMA. We were smart in the way we contracted these teachers, because we really made the FEMA folks think about it for a while here, let's say. We did them on, teachers were all on temporary contracts, they weren't permanent employees. So that kind of really threw a wrench in their analysis of it. We went through 2 appeals on this. And unfortunately, our $700,000 claim that we had there for our virtual academy, PPE, food service stuff, it wasn't fully funded. They only funded about $41,000 worth of that $700,000 claim. So I tried, and I tried again with an appeal, and unfortunately they denied it. So here we are, we finally got our denial, and that's why we're revamping our original rainy day fund resolution, and before you, that's resolution 2024, is for an additional appropriation in order to take those expenses out of rainy day fund. We did not budget anything this year in 2022 for the rainy day fund in hopes that FEMA would pay. It didn't, so we have to do that as part of the budget process, since it wasn't part of the original budgeted rainy day fund. Our current rainy day fund balance is $2,438,573.22. The claim that we need to apply there is $756,726.81. So it'll leave a balance there of 1.68 million in rainy day, and it'll make our FEMA fund whole, which is in the negative now, that 700,000. So that's those 2.
Can we make that up somehow?
We'll transfer when we can. Yes, we will. At the end, any remaining balances that we can, we'll try and build it back up, definitely.
That's pretty low.
Yeah, we'll get it. We'll definitely transfer it up. Any questions on those 2? The other resolution to close the year end that's before you, 2022-23. This is a housekeeping one that gives me the authority to do some transfers that we need to at the end of the year, for me to bring those transfers to you at the January board meeting. It also gives me the authority to pay any bills that might come in that I feel are definitely 2022 bills that we should get paid before our next board meeting, since we're not gonna have one until January. I will of course bring those claims to you like we normally do. And then the last one, that's federal grants, right? Okay, so that's just another housekeeping thing that we missed at the beginning of the school year, authorizing the superintendent to partake in any federal grants opportunities that are out there, and then bring them to the board after the fact. So it allows us to do our Perkins, our Title I, all those federally funded grants. I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4 on our resolutions.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
If I can say the transfer, I did quote the total amount. The virtual academy is $551,662. We had PPE that was not approved, but FEMA said that it was operational in nature. They wouldn't let us some furniture and some things like that, $42,000 there. And then the other program that we funded through that was $163,000 in food that we didn't qualify for the seamless summer operations. We kept feeding the families, they showed up and picked up food and everything like that, and that wasn't covered because we didn't qualify for summer school, summer feeding program at that time.
That was in lunches.
Yep, yeah, lunches and dinners that we did for families, so that's the breakdown. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
I know, isn't it? Seems like it's
Number
too
5, approve the annual evacuation agreement between Tri-Creek School Corporation and Lowell Healthcare Center effective January 1, 23 through December 31st, 23.
So if there's an emergency disaster situation with the Lowell Healthcare Center, this would authorize for them to evacuate their patients over, or their residents over to Lowell High School. And it also does provide the opportunity for our school buses to be used, but that would be at the request of the Lowell Police Department. And they would reimburse for any expenses related to the buses.
So moved.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Consent items. All right, number 1, approve the overnight athletic trip to the Lowell, for the Lowell High School varsity wrestling team to participate in the Al Smith Wrestling Invitation Mishawaka High School in Mishawaka, Indiana, from December 27th to December 29th, 2022.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Number 2, approve the overnight study trip for the Lowell Middle School choir students to participate in the choir competition at Cedar Point Amusement Park in Sandusky, Ohio, from May 12th to May 13th, 2023.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Number 3, approve the initiation of the proposed Sandy Hook Promise Safe Promise Club at Lowell High School to get students involved in preventing violence by creating a culture of upstanders at the Lowell High School. The club will be sponsored by Lowell High School teachers Megan Banashak and Rachel Dawson and Sarah Pillman.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
We do have safety coordinator Stacy Heems here. Is there any additional information you would like to offer the board?
I just wanted to say that's kind of a runoff of our Sandy Hook reporting system that we just implemented for the school. So this is just another part of that, of, building that safe environment in our schools by starting the Safe Promise Club. So yes, thank you very much.
So the motion and a second. Is there further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Number 4, approve the request to dispose of the 1912 George P. Benn grand piano that was donated to Lowell High School on September 16, 2021. Disposal is being recommended due to 2 different piano technicians assessing the piano and deeming it too costly to refurbish.
Yeah, so actually I think this piano was donated prior to my starting the job. My impression was that the donor was moving. It was kind of a rush process. We didn't have an opportunity to fully check the piano out. The piano was accepted over the course of the last year and a half. We've reached out to get the piano assembled and put back together, but when the first person came and said, this is going to be a lot of money, you may want to reconsider. Principal Patrick reached out, got a second opinion, and the second opinion said, this is going to be a lot of money, you probably just need to dispose of. I did call the donor to make them aware, offer the piano back. It was in the family because that was just the right thing to do, to offer it, and see if there was anybody else that she would like to have it. And between her and myself, and we even reached out to the previous band director, who was the initial person that brought it to Tri-Creek, everybody's on the same page, probably the best thing to do is dispose of.
So moved.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, perfect. Accept a donation from the One Up Metro Chicago chapter of Maryville, Indiana, in the amount of $1,045 to help fund the Lowell High School Devil's Gift Back Fund for the Angel Tree. Number 6, accept a donation from the anonymous donor in the amount of $200 to purchase grocery gift cards for Three Creeks Elementary School families in need. Number 7, accept a donation from the anonymous donor in the form of 4 $25 Aldi gift cards for Three Creeks Elementary School families in need. Number 8, accept a donation from the Three Creeks Elementary School PTO in the form of Speedway Fuel gift cards valued at $75 to be given to the Three Creeks Elementary School families traveling to hospitals for sick children. Number 9, accept a donation from the Three Creeks Elementary School staff in the amount of $540 to purchase gift cards for the food and fuel for Three Creeks Elementary School families in need with critical ill children.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
If I could just say, I met the high school team over at Walmart tonight for the purchase of the Angel Tree gifts, and oh my gosh, I just can't believe it. I don't know what the total was. It was over
Over 8,000.
Yeah, over $8,000 that they raised. And wow, they filled many carts. And I can just say that even the Walmart lady said over and over again, like this was the most organized group that she's ever gone through there. Lindsay O'Neill and her crew had everything, and it was just incredible to see how the teachers there purchasing, and just the thought that went into every gift that they purchased for the Angel Trees. It was really cool to see the support.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you for going also, but I'm sure that made it much easier, so.
Oh, yeah. My pleasure. Kicked off my holiday season, and I didn't have to spend any of my money, so that's good.
That's the day that I know.
Yeah.
Can I flip these two? Pardon? Can I flip these two?
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna flip-flop here. I'm gonna go to the public comment for non-related agenda items. Gina?
So I just wanted to take a moment, as this is the last session of the seated board, and just express my gratitude. You guys were the ones who approved me here at Lowell Middle School and welcomed me into the Tri-Creek family. And as you were still the seated board, I just wanted to express my gratitude for that opportunity and how welcomed I felt by the Tri-Creek community during my time here. So thank you to all of you.
Thank you.
Seems like you made a good choice.
Alrighty.
Yeah, that segue to recognizing the three of you. It's the last hurrah, and I think it would be good. Doug, how long have you served on the board? How many?
17 years.
17, and then Lon, how many?
20.
Wow. And Diana?
I should get a retirement.
Pension.
Get a pension. Dana?
And then Diana, how many years?
About 8.
8.
About 8.
Yeah.
Do you have any words of wisdom or comments before you depart? How's the experience been?
I'd just like to thank everybody that I've worked with over the years, and it's been an honor, and I wish you all luck.
I want to say thank you too. I don't think that the school could have better staff and administration, teachers, and counselors. We just have the best people here, and students. So I feel very lucky.
Well,
And
it's-
sad. Yeah, I'm sorry, and sad.
But I've been here 17 years, and I've seen 4 superintendents and 4 CFOs and 2 computer people, and Kevin was just a baby teacher when he and now look where he's sitting, so. But one person's been a constant, and that's Deanne.
Yeah.
And she's helped me so much.
Yeah.
So I want to recognize her as being kind of the central office of the corporation. And
She really is.
she's really valuable to our corporation.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely.
And she helped me out. I mean, I did things that I shouldn't have done, and she helped me out as far as giving me advice on what I should do, how to correct them and things like that when I was president. So I can't say enough about her, how much she helped me.
I agree with you 100%.
So your two colleagues here were apart, and they need for them to assist me. We wanted to make sure that there was a token of appreciation on behalf of the school corporation. So we'd like to take a moment for you to, it's just like the family gift, and that everybody gets the same gift, so you have to start at the top and work your way down. So go ahead and open up your envelopes first. And if you need scissors for the.
I was wondering what the scissors were for.
Oh, yeah. I second.
Wow. That's fantastic.
So your friend Patty McCormick was able to hook you up with a free pass lifetime for all extracurricular activities in the Tri-Creek School Corporation. As long as they're sponsored by the corporation and not a regional event, a Crossroads Conference, or a state event. You.
Thank you.
That's fantastic.
Come in handy.
Yeah. Wow.
That's like a pretty special deal.
Yeah.
It is. Like, you're a pretty big deal. Yeah.
Part of my family.
There's your retirement.
There's your pension.
Somebody's, yeah. You guys ready?
Yeah. I got it.
Be careful as you.
My grandma would do that. Save the paper.
Yep, save the paper, my
Looks
grandma.
like one of those kids tearing through it.
That box is,
Careful.
does have a fragile item in it.
Easy there.
That's how I operate on Christmas. That's how I operate on Christmas. All right. That's very fun. That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Is there
It
one?
says, never underestimate the difference you made in the lives you impact. I always try to keep that in mind, that's why we were here.
Yeah.
And there is a stand in there if you would like to display that in your home.
Thank you.
And also kind of like to say that being a board member is kind of being in a fraternity, that once you're in it, you're in it for life. The experiences you have will be unique in some ways, but only sometimes board members will be the only ones who can understand what you're talking about. And I know Nate knows that already, but it takes time to understand what it's all about, new board members, so. But you'll be really happy to do it. I mean, it's really a great experience. There'll be some bad times too.
Hopefully not.
Oh, yeah, let's
Think about that.
knock on it a little bit.
Well, I just think it's inevitable in some ways. That's just the way it is, but the good times far outweigh the bad times.
Don't go through an epidemic.
My first 2 years were a breeze.
Yeah, they were. They were.
I can't say the same.
No, you can't say.
Let's not go down that road. Very good.
Oh. Wow.
Wow, I got my name on it. Boom. Big time now.
My favorite color.
Yeah, me too, obviously. Well, that's fantastic.
Got our name.
Wow.
Please have your date here.
Yeah.
Years of service.
Yeah.
Very appropriate.
Very nice, very nice.
It'd be nice to have you too.
I'd like to thank the three of you guys. When I got on the board, all three of you guys were on there. You guys all took me under your wing and, helped showed me through, and, you know, I got on not knowing anything. So I really appreciate, you know, everything you guys did for me, you know,
Takes a team, takes a team.
Look how far we've come.
in the 4 years that I've been on here, and I really appreciate it, all the time we spent together, and trips down to Indy and stuff. You know,
Yeah,
so it's a
right.
good time. You know, really appreciate and miss you guys.
We're gonna miss you guys.
I'm gonna miss our phone calls and our meetings, and
Oh, yeah.
hopeful that we don't spend as much time as a new board as I spent with you guys over the first year.
Right.
It was an interesting first year, for sure, not at all what I was expecting. But I think it came through pretty good, and
After
thank you
20
guys
years,
for-
I'm gonna have withdrawals.
What?
Yeah, I got my Thursday night football game back.
Oh, thank you guys, it really means a lot.
Yeah, thanks a
I
lot.
didn't expect that.
It's great.
I would like to also talk about the other staff here too. I mean, you guys are great. I can remember when Dana first came, she was a little bit wet behind the ears still, I think, but she's done so much for this corporation, she's learned so much. It's like she just zoomed to the top.
You put me through a crash course, Doug.
I know, but it feels good that I think I helped you and you did so well, you know.
I'm tired about everybody here. I went through 5 superintendents. You're number 5, Andy.
Okay.
And Jay, when you took over computer, I mean, think about how far we've come with computers, Lon, from where we started.
Oh,
When
yeah,
they came on.
it's unbelievable.
It's been amazing. We were one of the first ones to have their one-to-one. I think East Chicago beat us, but they were having all kinds of trouble. Their computers were showing up in different states and all that kind of stuff, and they were being sold on the market.
Not being fixed.
Right, and our breakout was like, no problems at all, you know, we did everything by the book, we did everything fine. We were the envy of the county, I think, at one time for that, so that was all Jay's work, and he's continued that work all through the times he's been here at the corporation. So he really brought us into the 21st century, no doubt about it, so.
It's been my honor, thank you.
And Kevin, you really have the ability to explain difficult things so we can all understand. I never really realized how nuanced all the education was, and all the different levels that you have to deal with and things you have to think about, you know. It just boggles my mind, you guys go through that every day. And that's not just you, that's all the teachers and administrators too, but you have the ability to explain it to us in a way that we all understand. I appreciate that all those years. So.
And you guys worked your butts off. You guys worked so hard, and we appreciate it. We really will.
It's been a pleasure working with you guys as well. Thank you guys so much for the support and everything we've been able to do for all of these years.
Good team.
Andy, I'm so glad we hired you.
Thank you.
I mean, it's been a tough time for us all, but I think we made the right decision.
You got me broken in, so.
Yeah, I think we got to do it time, yeah. So, it's always a tough thing coming in the first year superintendent, and I think you've got through it pretty well, so.
Thank you. Thanks for hiring me.
Anybody else before I go through the rest of it? All right, Christmas break is scheduled for Thursday, December 22nd through Wednesday, January 4th. School will resume on January 5th. The next school board meeting will be on January 12th, including the Board of Finance meeting and the regular meeting.